Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about breastfeeding, how our journey started and how it also came to an end, why we stopped breastfeeding, just talking about all the things breastfeeding related. I'm going to talk about a few products that I really enjoyed as well. But first things first, let's just start off with talking about our breastfeeding journey in general. So in the beginning, before I had Mia, a lot of people told me breastfeeding was difficult, but no one really told me how difficult it was. And I would say that breastfeeding was probably the hardest thing as a mom that I've ever had to do. It is also very rewarding, and I had a great time breastfeeding Mia and really loved it once we got the hang of it. But I will say it was really hard at the beginning. I didn't find it as easy as I thought it would be. And like I said, not many people really warned me for that. People said that like it hurts or whatever, but the mental strain I feel like it had on my, I don't know, it's so hard because you're obviously just becoming a mother, officially, becoming a mom, and then you have all these emotions, your hormones are all over the place, you're sleep deprived, and then you're also producing milk for your child. You're literally soaked in sweat. There's just so much that involves breastfeeding. Okay guys, before we get into the meat and potatoes of the video, I did want to mention quickly that today's video is sponsored by Haka. And if you are a breastfeeding mom, you've probably heard of a Haka. So they just came out with a new product that I think you're gonna love. So let me show you. This is the classic Haka. This is a silicone hand pump, and you just flip this back, which I didn't know. Apply it to your breast, flip it up, and it's going to draw out the milk from your breast. And it has the little measurements all up the side so you can see how many ounces you get. This is perfect. I used this so much during early breastfeeding journey, and it was great to relieve any like tension you had in there. So I love this. And then also, this is their new product that I'm obsessed with. I wish I had this when I was breastfeeding early on. To collect all the milk when I was out and about, but they are called the ladybugs. They look like literal ladybugs. It's so cute. It is, again, 100% food safe silicone, and you basically just apply them to your nipples, and then it's going to collect all your milk throughout the day, no matter what you're doing. Doesn't matter. You can just chuck it in your sports bra, your nursing bra, whatever. You put it in there, and it's going to collect the milk while you're busy. So as long as you're wearing a bra, it's going to stay in place. It's not going to move around. And you'll see throughout the video, I'm actually wearing them the entire time, but you guys don't even know it. So I talk a little bit more about it in the end. But anyways, that is the Ladybug product from Haka. So I recommend honestly both of these because I use this so much during my breastfeeding journey, and this one I would have loved to have. So the difference between the two is this one is like a hand pump and it draws the milk out, whereas this one is just a collector and replaces the nursing pads. And they're just so cool. So I will leave a link to the actual Haka website. I believe I have a code for you guys. So definitely go ahead and use the code and get yourself some ladybugs or just the standard silicone Haka, because these are 10 out of 10, highly recommend. I literally used them so much during my breastfeeding journey. Well, this one, obviously I didn't have this one yet, but yeah, I just wanna say a shout out to them because they are killing it, super awesome. So yeah, anyways, let's get back into the video. I did wanna mention that, and go check them out if you are breastfeeding or if you know someone that is going to be breastfeeding. You can definitely pick them up some awesome gifts that they will love you for. So at the beginning, I did find it very difficult, but I had a lot of milk in the beginning, so I would pump. I've talked to a few moms, new moms, and they were like, oh, should I get a pump? And I'm like, 100% you need a pump. In my opinion, at least at the beginning, to just relieve your breasts, because in the beginning, your baby isn't just feeding on demand, and your body isn't producing on demand. So I would feed Mia every 3 hours, and she did have jaundice. So there was a point where we were actually waking her up in the middle of the night every 3 hours to feed. And also I was strictly pumping to see how much she was getting, to make sure she was getting the ounces that she needed, because I needed her to gain weight so we could stay out of the hospital. And yeah, ever since then, she's loved breastfeeding and just like mealtime in general. But we did have a little hiccup in the beginning, and if you guys watched my previous videos, you would have seen, I think it was like my first week of being a parent or something like that. I forget what the title is, but that was a really hard time for me, especially with breastfeeding. A lot of tears, a lot of mental breakdowns. So the one time I remember very specifically was like the hardest time for me breastfeeding was when we just got her home from the hospital after going back for her jaundice, and we had to make sure she was eating enough and all that. And my midwives recommended to start her back on the breast so that she will take both, because before that she was just taking the boob and then she switched to the bottle. So she wanted to make sure that she was going to be okay with the breast still and we weren't going to have any problems with that. So that's what we did. But with her jaundice, she kept being like super tired and wouldn't really wake up to eat or feed and all that stuff. So I found that really hard, and I was trying to feed her and she ate, but I didn't understand that like her eating from a bottle versus her eating from my breast, the amount that she gets, obviously you can't tell. I was really worried that she wasn't getting enough. So I just kept trying to wake her up and get her to feed, and she just didn't care. She didn't want it. And now I know obviously that like it wasn't a big deal. She wasn't hungry. But for me at the time, I wanted to make sure she was getting her calories in because we were heading back to the hospital in a couple days to get her checkup. And if she didn't gain weight again, she was going to have to go back to the hospital. And I really did not want to be back there for the third time. So I was like very upset about that, and I had a really hard time with that. But once we got past that and I kind of was like, okay, obviously there was a lot going on. I was very emotional. After that, we started just exclusively breastfeeding again. She had no problems latching, which I was super thankful for. And it didn't hurt. It didn't hurt a crazy amount. What hurt the most for me was the letdown. So when the milk would like fill up and then she would finally like be ready to eat, it just like hurt when she would start sucking because I could feel the boob draining. I don't know how to explain it in any other way, but that hurt for a while. But it definitely went away pretty quickly. Honestly, like newborn phase and like early momhood is really a blur to me. But something that I loved was the Haka. I think I mentioned this before, but at first I didn't like it because it would like fall off and I didn't know how to use it. But I have one here, I'll show you. So this is the Haka, like the classic Haka, and you just pull it back and you suction it to your breast, and then all your milk collects in here while you're feeding on the one side. This can also work as like a hand pump. So this does draw the milk out, where I have another product I'm going to show you that actually just collects the milk. But I used this for a long time because I would be producing a lot, and like my whatever side she was eating on, obviously was giving her the milk, and then the other side was just leaking like crazy. So I would use this, and obviously she would eat on the other side, and we would collect all of our milk. And then we had this for bottles if we would go to someone's parents, or like if we went out somewhere, we would have a bottle in case I didn't feel comfortable breastfeeding or I just wasn't in the mood to get all undressed and feed her. And that's another thing. In the beginning, I had a really hard time using the cover. So if you're struggling to use a cover early on in breastfeeding, I will tell you that it gets easier. My sister told me a trick. I literally had no idea how to use it. So what you do is you put it under your armpit and across your shoulder, and then you slip them in, or whatever, vice versa, however you want to do it. But that for me, and then I would kind of like take my boob out. But I only wore sports bras and nursing bras, but I didn't really, nursing bras, sports bras to me were like interchangeable. I would just pull them up instead of unclipping them, because I found that like I would have leakage go down. The underneath of my bra would be wet, so I didn't really like that. So I would just wear a sports bra, lift it up. And something else, instead of a cover that got me through the early phases, was I would just put her under my sweater. So I would wear like a big oversized sweater. Obviously it depends on your style, but for me, postpartum, there was no style happening. So I would just wear that and chuck her underneath, and she would have her snack. I would do both sides. So I would switch. Instead of just doing one and then she feeds on that one, then the next one she feeds on the other, I would switch sides during her feed halfway through. And I feel like that helped me with not having like overproduction on one side versus the other. Obviously I still have one breast that is producing more than the other, or like did produce more than the other. And that would be my left side. I feel like she favored the left side. She would get more out of this side than this side. And what I would do to counteract that was I would start her on this side always then. So this was after a while that I realized she was favoring this one a bit more. But yeah, basically I was just like, oh, I think that my left side is looking a little bit bigger than my right side, and I didn't want to continue like feeding her on this side, and then this side just keeps getting bigger, and this side wasn't really producing a lot because she wasn't taking a lot from it. So what I did was I decided to start her on this side always and then switch to this side. And that's kind of what we did for the probably second half of the year. So yeah, like I had mentioned, I used this obviously a lot during the early stages of breastfeeding when my body just wasn't regulated. And I feel like I started to slow down on producing like as much milk and just like leaking everywhere when I fed her out of probably around like 2 months, I think. But I was still leaking like in my bra and stuff like that. And that didn't stop for a very long time. I feel like, I don't remember exactly, but I want to say like 9, 10, 11 months, maybe not 11, 9, 10 months. That was when I could like wear a bra without wearing something inside of it, or I could not wear a bra to bed or something and I wouldn't wake up soaked in breast milk. Before that, I was wearing my bra and the reusable breast pads. At nighttime, I would wake up obviously in the morning and take them out because they were soaked, and then I would switch. But I would say around 9, 10 months is when I actually stopped producing like a crazy amount and my body started to regulate a little bit more. So after our like early phases of breastfeeding, when I needed to wake her up every 3 hours because she had a bit of jaundice, I think once she gained weight, she did really well. We didn't have to go back to the hospital after the second time, so that was really good. And then once we got her home again, she was on the breast and she was, hey, shh. So once we were home, she was on the breast, and the midwives told us that we could start feeding her every 3 hours during the day and not wake her up at night. So we started doing that. So basically until we stopped breastfeeding, she was on a every 3 hour feeding schedule. Up until her 11th month, she was on the boob like pretty heavily. She would feed every 3 hours. She was loving her food, and then she started waking up in the middle of the night, and at first I thought maybe it was teething or like a sleep regression, but I noticed that she was hungry, and I would feed her and she wouldn't really eat that long. So she would breastfeed for like maybe 5 minutes, if that, and it seemed like she wasn't getting enough because she was waking up in the middle of the night. So I thought, okay, maybe it's time to introduce some homo milk and see how she does with that. I didn't plan on stopping breastfeeding, so we introduced the homo milk, and I was like, okay, this will be nice for when, you know, we're out or she's with someone and we need to be gone for longer than 3 hours. So we did that, and then say we didn't want her to be hungry. That was my main goal, was that she was fed, not that she was getting her nutrition from me, but just in general. And obviously at like 6 months, she started eating and stuff like that. So she was getting nutrition from other places, but she was getting her main source from me still. So yeah, we found that she was waking up in the middle of the night and was hungry still. So we introduced the homo milk and she really loved it. So what we were doing was feeding from the breast first and then topping her off with the homo milk, but she would pretty much drink a full bottle and then just have like a little bit from me. So it was at that point where I was like, okay, I'm giving her the breast milk for like what reason. Like she's not really getting any comfort from it anymore. She didn't ask for it. Only if I offered it, she would take it. And she was like loving the bottle. So for me at that point, I was like, okay, I think it's time to wean her off of breastfeeding because she's not getting the nutrients that she needs. Obviously, it's not keeping her full. She's not getting enough. And for me personally, like my hair was a mess. My body was a mess. I only had gotten like a light period once for like not even like the full time, and then one other one, and that was it. So my hormones were still kind of all over the place. Basically any vitamins that I had in my body were going to her, and like I wasn't fueling my body enough to keep myself and her healthy. It was just giving it all to her, and my body just needed something more. And I was trying to like take vitamins and eat healthy and stuff like that, but really it was just not enough. And so on October 3rd, which was her birthday party, her last day of her birthday party, we actually stopped breastfeeding. That was the last time she had breast milk from me, and she really didn't have a problem with it. She transitioned to the bottle really easily because we had already introduced it. And I will say the bottles that I used, I think helped her when she was a baby to take a bottle and to breastfeed as well. Was I used the Como Tomo bottles, and I also used the Tommy Tippy bottles. Right now we only use the Tommy Tippy ones because I could get like the nipples that would attach to it. So those were our bottles that we used, and she really likes them. I will say that it's really nice to get a bottle with a handle now that she's drinking out of a bottle. She can like hold it up. But back to stopping breastfeeding, I had a really hard time like the week of her birthday. There was a night before her birthday party that we were actually at my friend's engagement party, and I didn't get to feed her that night. The next morning we woke up and we were in a really big rush, so we gave her a bottle. She didn't breastfeed again. So that was 2 feeds that she missed, and throughout the day she wasn't feeding at all at that point. So we were giving her a bottle for her midday, and then I would give her the breast and bottle in the morning, breast and bottle at night. So that night she only had a bottle because obviously I wasn't there. That morning she only had a bottle, and then she had a bottle during the day. So on the October 3rd at night, that was the last time I breastfed her. She didn't eat a lot, obviously, because she wasn't getting a lot. I wasn't producing a lot. And even missing those 2 feeds, I didn't feel my boobs were like sensitive or full or anything. So that's how I knew like my body just wasn't producing enough anymore, which honestly I'm fine with, because although it was hard for me, I cried a lot like the week of her first birthday. I think mainly because there was so many changes going on, not necessarily because we were stopping breastfeeding, because I knew like she was healthy, she was happy, and I knew this was the right move for us. Obviously it still is very sad. I was okay with it. I was emotional, but I was okay. And I knew it was what was best for me and my body and for her. So we transitioned to the bottle. She loves the bottle. She crushes 3 8-ounce bottles a day. So 1 in the morning, 1 midday, and 1 at night. And she loves it. She has never once like asked for milk from me, or like tried to like get up in there. She is a little extra cuddly, but I think she's also teething, so could be that. And I think she knows that she's missing something, like something's different, but she, like I said, when I would offer it, she would take it, but otherwise like she wasn't really, like she didn't really need it or request it. So that's how I kind of knew. So yeah, we made it to a year, and that was honestly like I just was holding out until a year to be like, we made it to a year. And like mentally I thought like, okay, that would be easier, like I would be better that way. So that's what I did. There was a lot of changes happening, like I had mentioned, so it was very emotional for me. She switched car seats to a big girl car seat, which we were actually gifted from Up a Baby, and we love it. It's like the most beautiful car seat ever. She started taking the bottle, and well, obviously she turned 1, so that was like huge for me. Very emotional. And also now, of course, now that she's on the bottle, she's able to go to someone's house. So we've been doing 2 days a week. she goes to Brandon's parents' house during the day and hangs out with them. So that's like been kind of hard for me, just like adjustment wise, but she loves it. She loves the bottle. She has no problem with taking the bottle. So I'm really happy about that. And also I asked you guys online some questions and someone asked, did it hurt? So I guess I already answered that one kind of earlier. Breastfeeding did hurt in the beginning, but like after a while, it was just the easiest thing ever. You would be out and about and you would just, she's hungry, you don't have to bring anything, you just pop her in your shirt. So that's something that's been hard for me now, is like remembering to bring a bottle. Yeah, pretty much just remembering to bring a bottle when we leave the house was really hard at the beginning. We're getting better now, obviously. And like having to have the milk at your house. So we go through a lot of milk right now, obviously, because she's drinking a lot of milk still. Yeah, but definitely transitioning to like having to bring something with you is a lot different, because I was just like, okay, I got the diaper bag, we're good to go. But now I have to remember, obviously, to bring a bottle. So that's something that has been a little bit harder. Another thing is I remember someone asking like if I had any problems with my supply in general. So I didn't have any problems with my supply throughout the entire time of breastfeeding. Obviously it teetered off once I regulated. I didn't have to take like any supplements or anything like that to get my milk back up. And I debated about that when she turned a year and I could feel my supply was going down. But I also felt like it was the right time for us, because I didn't want to be the one to choose to stop breastfeeding her. And this way my body kind of chose that for us. And also, again, she really didn't care to have the breast. She just wanted something. She wanted milk. So I felt like it was a good time before she got too attached or like realized that she was being weaned off the breast. And like I said, I didn't have like any time where my breasts were sore. They're still like, if she presses on them, it hurts. But honestly, like I didn't feel like that engorged feeling, which I was really lucky. And I think that's why it was made it so easy to transition to the bottle, was because I wasn't engorged and I didn't need to release it. And she didn't smell the milk on me or anything, because I wasn't producing enough at that point. But yeah, honestly, I was really happy that we got to a year. I was really impressed. I didn't know how long we were going to breastfeed for. If my body didn't stop or like give signs that it needed to stop, I would have continued. But again, like I said, I didn't want to be the one to make that decision of we need to stop. So I took my body's signs as we're going to end here, and like mentally I was okay with that because we made it to a year. But yeah, that was kind of our breastfeeding journey. I know I talked a lot. There was a lot going on in this video, but Mia is fully on homo milk. She is fully weaned. We haven't had a boobie in like 2 weeks now, I want to say. But it's been nice that she gets to go to someone else's house and she is fed. Like I know I don't have to come back in 3 hours and make sure I feed her. So it's been really nice. It's also, like I said, been a big change, but we are working our way through it. I'm really proud of myself for making it to a year. I'm really proud of us for making it through the hard times in the beginning, because I didn't know if my body was going to be able to do it, or if like mentally we would be able to do it. But we did it, and it was like a really cool experience and really nice like bonding experience for us. My boobs don't feel like that different. Probably less perky and like softer. But overall, they fed my baby, so I don't really care what they look like. Yeah, but that was the end of the video, so I hope you guys enjoyed. I did want to say thank you to Haka for sponsoring this video, because I use them a ton during my breastfeeding journey, and they were like a huge part of that. And I did want to mention that actually, while I've been filming this video, I have been wearing one of their products. So this is the item that I want to show you guys. It is one of their new products. It is called the Ladybug, and it has a hole here where it suctions to your nipple or your breast, and you wear it throughout the day. So as I was just like hanging out wearing it, you guys probably didn't even notice there was something going on up in here. But what it does is it collects your milk. So as opposed to the regular Haka where it actually draws the milk out, this does not affect your supply whatsoever. So you won't overproduce any milk if you wear this all day long or anything like that. This is something that I think would be super handy if you're out and about and you're feeding on one side and you just pop this on the other side. Obviously it does have some volume to it, so it's going to make your boobs look bigger than they are. But I just slipped it right in my sports bra. So it's literally in here right now. I just slipped it in there and it's super easy. It has these little feet so you can set it down if you need to. And this I think would be a great transitional item to have if you are going from like early stages of pumping and using the Haka to draw the milk out from the one side, switching to this when you are done like trying to get the milk out and you just want to catch any excess. I think this is really neat. I unfortunately didn't get to use this when I was breastfeeding Mia because we ended right before I got this product, but I can't wait to use it with my next baby. And yeah, I think this is a great product. Obviously it comes with two, so you can actually wear them in replacement. Whoa, whoa, whoa. We got some liquids in here. Anyways, so I can't wait to use this for future babies and breastfeeding journeys. But yeah, this is super cool. So like I said, it doesn't really draw the milk out. You can like put a little suction to it so that it just sticks on there, put it in your bra, and you can wear this throughout the day so that your milk stays in here. This basically replaces the pads that catch your breast milk. So instead of just wasting it and it going into like a reusable one or the disposable ones, you actually can save it and put it in a bottle or freeze it if you want to freeze your breast milk. So yeah, these are really great. Something else I recommend you doing is freezing your breast milk and keeping it. And you can also keep it in a deep freezer so it lasts longer, which I didn't know that. And so I would have had some milk still to use once she finished breastfeeding, but unfortunately they expired because they were in my regular freezer, which again was fine. She loves the homo milk, but if you want to stock up your breast milk, I think that's super cool. Or you can donate it as well if you're an overproducer. But yeah, I wanted to show you these because these are the coolest things ever. They keep your milk, you can store it, freeze it, save it. I love this. So they are 100% food grade silicone, which is great. Obviously it's going to be safe for your baby to have the milk out of here. Also, they have like a little thing in the top, so that's how you get the milk. It has a little plug here, so you can literally just like dump it out into a bottle or whatever. So they do also come in two sizes. This is the 75 milliliter containers. So you can get them in 75 or 150 milliliters, and these are the 75. And I feel like at the beginning this might have not been enough space for me for my leakage. Throughout the remainder of the journey these would have been perfect. And then I also, like I had mentioned, I used the other Haka in the beginning. Love these, highly recommend, definitely check them out. I will leave them linked down below. They're also available on Amazon, which is amazing, so you can get them fast if you are already breastfeeding and you're like, holy crap, I need these. Definitely check them out down below. So that is going to be the end of today's video. I hope this video kind of helped you, give you some insight into breastfeeding, what it was like for me, and kind of where we are now. So if you're transitioning your baby to homogeneous milk, I hope that gave you some insight into what we did and like the bottles we like and stuff like that. I'll leave some links down below for you guys. I do have an Amazon storefront, so I'll make like a breastfeeding section and I'll link all these products down below. But yeah, I did want to mention Haka again and say a huge shout out to them for sponsoring today's video, because Haka is a product I genuinely love and we used so much during our journey. So I did want to say another shout out to them and thank you for sponsoring today's video. But that is everything. So I hope you guys have an amazing day, week, month, or year. I love you, and remember to always be nice to people. Bye.